imagine, Catherine, that is creates an even more challenging situation. And I mean, the real fallout from that would be significant negative cuts that will affect classrooms, will affect children. You know, again, they've made a ton of cuts, easily over $500 million in cuts, and I think any additional significant cuts really do negatively impact the quality of education.
Couldn't the mayor have with the they're borrowing the 200, can't they just borrow the extra?
Well, I mean, you know, borrowing is not an unlimited circumstance and situation, and I mean, again, one, you only do these things under the worst of circumstances, but even the school district has some limits, and you know, you have to pay that money back. It adds to the debt service and drives up other cost factors. So I think they're trying to stay, you know, within a certain range.
I'm just asking, have they ruled out borrowing rather than cutting if they don't get that?
I don't know at the moment that they've ruled anything in or out, but again, in many instances, when you make those cuts, those programs and services go away. The borrowing is one time. You get one chunk of money to do certain things. I mean, you can't, you know, keep stopping and starting programs. You're either going to have it or you're not. Once it gets cut, most of the time it's tough to come back.
Mayor,
We'll take one last one.
We found a school that was throwing out new textbooks yesterday. What efficiencies are you demanding of the school district in exchange for $40 million, $94 million, whatever money the taxpayers are going to throw at this?
I know I did not see that story, so I think unfortunately you probably have a lot more information about that one.
Brand new textbooks on the curb.
Let me find out what the story is.
Mayor, is the city going to send out new assessments in September based on ABI, regardless of what council resolves with the budget?
Bob, you know, I'm going to have to push back on the framing of your question. It's not about regardless. We have a statutory responsibility that the state statute says, in effect, we have to send out new or change of assessment notices no less than 10 days before October 1st. When we have the new data and information, we have to use it. And so, I mean, those are just the facts. That's the circumstance. So again, we'll continue to work through this process. We understand the potential ramifications of that, but I mean, we are bound by those dictates.
But if the October 1st deadline is for the subsequent tax year, if they're delaying it by a year, you're not bound by that, are you? I mean, you could continue to review them and send them out in December or for the following year.
I was answering a question the way it was structured. If the other proposal comes to fruition and there is authority to do that, then I think the way it's structured is we would use the assessments from last year. But at the present moment, that is not in place.
If the council delays it for a year, you can use last year's assessment.
We use last year's, yes.
So
But
the
then
October 1st deadline then is not.
But at the moment, we also have enormous risk of appeals, and part of the purpose of the legislation in Harrisburg is to mitigate as much as possible the appeal risk. That legislation has not yet been passed.
So now I'm confused.
I don't want you to be confused.
If council says that we're going to base next year's taxes on the current assessments, will the administration not send out notices of the new full value assessments in September when they're completed?
Yeah, but I don't know how else I can say about it. When we have the new assessments, we have to use them. That's the law.
But you're
Follow the law.
suggesting,
So you're gonna
you're going to use them for next year then? Is that what you're saying? You're saying when we have the new assessments, we have to use them?
Unless something else happens.
But if council delays it and doesn't change the millage, then you're... I'm confused.
Well, that would be a significant problem, obviously.
Are you saying that council cannot lawfully stop the city from using the new assessments?
When we have the new assessments, so let's be really clear, when the chief assessment officer certifies the new assessments, those are the new assessments. And once we have them, we have to use them. That's the law.
How do you
So
use them?
there we go.
And
No.
by using them, that means basing tax rates on them for the new fiscal year?
Yeah.
This council is looking to pass a millage rate based on the current system, and as we've all discussed, if
understand
you
that.
use the new assessments,
Right.
tax bills will skyrocket.
Right, which is why I believe the effort is in Harrisburg to seek step relief in that regard and have legislation that mirrors what the council has
And
proposed
that's
here on the
not my
ground.
understanding of the step
Can't
relief.
the OPA just delay certification
Yeah,
under
until after
the
October
guise
1st.
that the numbers aren't scrubbed fully? I mean, you can certify them whenever you choose.
Mike, I think what you just proposed is that you are suggesting now that we should openly just break the law.
No, I'm not.
I don't-
I'm just
I
saying
don't
that
tell the
it's
OPA
in the
I don't
purview of
direct
the
the-
chief assessor.
I don't
as to
direct
when
the
to certify.
OPA as to what to do. When the assessment process is complete and those values are certified, those are the numbers. That's the job.
Thank you,
So
guys.
What
I
is-
want to be really
is-
clear, because this is deeply confusing, and I don't want to scare readers. Are you saying that for next year's tax bills, you're telling council they're going to have to use these new values?
I think
Which
there
if
may
they
be
don't-
some-
which if they don't set
council-
a new
Council
rate.
actually doesn't use the values.
But they
The
set the
Office of
millage.
Property, they do. The Office of Property Assessment does the assessing.
Right.
And once they certify what those assessments are, those are the assessed values of those parcels, and you'll have the total for the city. What's being proposed by City Council is to delay that process, try to get relief from what will be thousands and thousands and thousands of appeals, which is what the legislation is for in Harrisburg. That's the story, which is why I've also said that if somehow, some way, that particular piece of legislation, upon someone filing suit, is struck down, we need to have a variety of backup plans, including either the ability to revisit this issue in in what will be then the next fiscal year, in the current fiscal year, or the authority to lower millage rates, which presently we don't have. We don't have the authority to lower millage rates right now,
Can
which
they,
is what
In-
one of the bills in Harrisburg was for.
can OPA delay certification? Just decide we're not going to do it, even though